you know, we look outside and it's sunny.
Yeah.
We didn't.
They're on the movie doctor, they're on-
Oh, that was a couple minutes ago. I remember
Well,
that.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we don't have those around here.
Please just join me in a word of prayer. Our Father,
You are in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread,
and forgive us our trespasses,
as we forgive those who trespass against us. We lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And please join me in the four-way, hey, look at that, it's right there, the four-way test. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? Third, will it build goodwill and better friendship? Fourth, will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you. So we're just gonna start off with some introductions. We've got a couple new faces in the crowd today, which is wonderful. So I wanted to introduce our scholarship students from Cameron. One is out, but will be here in a couple weeks because remember, we have an informal meeting next week due to Thanksgiving. So if you wanted to come enjoy lunch, go for it. I will not be here next Wednesday, but if you wanted to come have lunch, please do that. So they will be presenting on December 1st. Yeah, wonderful. And we have Ian Bush. Thank you for a wonderful, easy last name. And Abby Carney, thank you as well. I really appreciate that. You didn't have to have me struggle at all. And then we also have Montgomery Bertram, and he will be joining us on December 1st. Yes, she will. Thank you. Thank you very much. All right, so a couple of things we want to address, and then we have a wonderful speaker today that I'm super excited about. Actually, I didn't know if you wanted to introduce, and I'm so sorry, you want me to come back to you? Because I have the best timing. But if you wanted to introduce your two captains.
Sure. So this is Captain Mark Van Meter and his wife Jennifer Van Meter. Captain Mark will be speaking today, telling you all about Salvation Army.
Thank you. Thank you both for joining us. Thanks, Ashley. All right, so friendly reminder, I'm going to pass it around. We're the Salvation Army, doing a bell ringing on December 4th from 10 a.m. and it'll end at 6 p.m. To pass this around, we're only looking for 2 more people for the 5 to 6 p.m. hour. Yes.
I have to get my I'm sorry.
Okay. Oh, so you had both of them
I'm
at 3
sorry.
o'clock. All right, so we're looking for 2 bell ringers from 3 to 4, and then also from 5 to 6. I'll go ahead and pass this around. Thanks, man. And then wanted to just talk about the Christmas party. It will be at Karen's on 7th, December 9th, and I'm going to pass around the sign-up sheet. Remember, all our members are free. If you bring a guest, it would be $20 for your guest, and then if you wanted to participate in the gift exchange, $15 present.
If there's time that somebody wants to bring the party tickets, there's another door at Walmart also.
Okay. Thank you. And then I'm going to briefly talk about this, and if Sharon wants to share anything else about it, I would love to hear. But Adopt a Grandparent is well underway. We're going to be stuffing those stockings on December 16th at 11 a.m. at the Sleep Inn. And record-breaking year. Yeah, so Sharon, go ahead and share with us, and then if you wanted to share anything about that flag project too.
So we need, in the 4 places we did last year, we need 82 stockings, 22 at once and this year. 22 of those are men. We have 105. So that's a good problem. I'm really excited to have that problem. So we need to find other places with other people. Does anybody have, let's get up to the back. Does anybody have a long-term care facility that you like?
Right now, we currently are participating with healthcare in Shadyside, continuing healthcare in Shadyside, the Country Club Living, retirement home in Belair, Cameron, and where
In
else?
Moundsville.
In Moundsville. So,
Yeah, so we need
anybody have a
another
connection?
40 people. So probably a few more. Nobody has a particular one that you, I mean, we can call anybody, but I wanted to ask, this like last year was, Ashley's grandma was in the one, so we chose that. So that worked out really well. And, you know, if anybody has a place we would do, but otherwise we can call places. I mean, I'm sure we can find them. And I mean, that's a good problem to have that we have. But like, we first started this project 7 years ago. And I did Moundsville and Shadyside, and I just split it in half. Whatever we had, I split it in half. I was like, here you go. And it didn't have nearly as much stuff in the stockings. So that's pretty cool. So, December 16th, I think is the day.
December 16th.
11 o'clock at
Sleep In.
Sleep In. And that's what they will assemble them and also give them to them. So I need people to deliver. Linda usually takes Moundsville. Stacy's gonna take Cameron, right? Are you gonna take Shadyside?
I could do Shadyside and Blair. I'll probably just take that day off.
Okay. And then we'll figure out what the other ones are. So that's really cool. Thank you so much, everybody, for participating in a time when the media would like us to believe that nobody cares about anybody and everything we turn on is negative. This proves that that's not true. That there are people still there that care. I've had such good response for this. Checks just show up in my mail. You know, I mean, it's really cool. So that is all I've got for adopted grandparent. And then the flag project I have to sign up sheet. If anybody wants to sign it.
I know we have a club meeting coming up soon. That's just gonna be a good discussion meeting for all of our projects that we can really get a
Yeah.
little deeper into.
So I'll pass this around to anybody who wants to be on the committee to help with the flag project.
Yep.
Just sign your name on the sheet. I can't really say what's all about because we've never done it yet really then, but it won't be a whole lot in the beginning. I have the number of the place where we can buy, I did find all them. Where we can buy the flags, or we'll buy the whole set. Like some of these clubs buy components together, we're not going there. So buy the whole set, and then, do we know, Nan, for sure about John Marshall? No. Okay. So hopefully it'll be Grandview and John Marshall, if not, it'll be Grandview that we put them. And we need to get on it, and we need to put out a flyer, so people know, because did you notice the Lions Club and Bethlehem have really good coverage on theirs. And we need to get people, like, now is the time when they've seen that on there, that we can say, hey, we're gonna do this in Moundsville. We need a flyer. Does anybody want to like make a flyer that we could put out there? I used to do those, but mine are so, like, I'm not in the modern age. And like, what I would have thought was good, you guys that are good at computers make things that are much better, so. Do you want to make a flyer? So I can, actually can, awesome. Get with me, I'll send you what we need on it. But we need to start advertising and getting people to sign up. Maybe they want to buy it for Christmas gift. 50 is what we decided, is that correct? So for, okay. So there'll be $50 and then people can honor the veteran. One big question we need before we send out the flyer. Some clubs get little tags to put on the pole that honors a veteran. Some clubs do not. Now, Ashley brought it before, there's gonna be on the hillside, so nobody's gonna really deal with it. Those are pretty.
We wouldn't really want people climbing up on that hillside because of this landslip and where it is in front of the aerial park.
So do you think it matters? Is it okay if we don't have their names on the flag? So a lot of clubs don't. But we need that question, we need to know that question before we can apply.
I'd say for the first year,
Not,
and then if we
progress. We can work on it later. Okay, so, so they'll just be, they pay for one. And they'll just be out there. But I am super excited about this. People, I mean, I hear from people all the time that they saw the ones on Critical Rare, they saw the ones in Bethlehem, so I come through that. Homepage is so cool, yeah,
They were lovely.
yeah, I'm really, really happy.
That's probably the slowest I've heard you.
That's moved me down, was looking at. And then when you're in traffic for one.
That's right. So Ashley, I'll get with you, we'll get a flyer out and something we put on Facebook would be great, and we'll get on, start to take, people, sponsors.
Sounds great. And then, like I said, I think we have a club discussion early December, so we can really, dig deep into, the lending libraries and the Flags project. Last thing that I wanted to bring up to the club is, we want to start thinking about our servers here at Perkins. So we always do a Christmas card donation to them for their wonderful service. So if anybody wanted to donate to our waitress, you can give it to me and I'll keep hold of everything. And then we usually give that to her, I think the week before Christmas. So just wanted to
Thank you, Katrina, very much for the wonderful reminder.
And then is there anything else that the club would want to discuss?
I
Yes.
had a phone call a couple days ago from Mary Margaret, who was the president before I was.
Okay.
She said to let everyone know here that she is doing well. She is back working at the Echo about 3 days a week. She's not driving yet. Yes, she had had a stroke, was in was it the Shepherd, I think. She still sounds a little weak, but she said she's not allowed to drive yet. When she gets that back, she'll think she's really hit the jackpot. She's got a neighbor that's taken her back and forth. Has been really good to her. She said, tell everybody. So, that was good.
Thank you so much for letting us know that. That's a great update. Well, I'm going to turn things over to Captain Mark with the Salvation Army. We are so grateful to have you, and we are so grateful that you gave us Ashley. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. I don't know if you know, but Salvation Army officers are also ordained pastors. And so every Sunday I get to preach. So if I start going long, kind of do what my congregation does. Turn over the clock. I am very pleased to be here. I brought my wife, Jennifer, and we have been in the Ohio Valley area for just 3 years now. It'll be 3 years next June, so 2.5 years. We actually kind of count our years of service based off of how many Christmases you do. And so this will be our third Christmas in this area. I grew up in Kansas and spent many, many years in Kansas City and out in Kansas. And my wife grew up in southern Indiana. We served with the Salvation Army throughout what is known as the Central Territory. And that's the Dakotas, Wisconsin, Michigan. And we were with the Army for about 10 years, and then we stepped out for a little bit, but we decided to come back in. And when we decided to come back in, I told Jen, let's go to the South where it's warm and you can lay on the beach all the time. And so there are 2 days each year that Salvation Army officers are required to be by their phone in the evening from 6 till 8 at night. They're typically Sundays, and you sit by the phone, you watch Survivor on TV, and if your phone rings, it's your divisional commander. And out of nowhere, you're told, and you are moving to. So we were moved to where? Wheeling, West Virginia. And then they started talking about it going up between Pennsylvania and Ohio. And so we got on our Google Maps looking for this thing, only to discover we are in the furthest northern Salvation Army unit in the Southern Territory, other than Weirton. And so you guys know the snow that still comes to this area. We lived on Lake Michigan for almost 20 years, and typically we would get 56 to 60 inches of snow a year. So we're used to it. Well, a lot of people think that Salvation Army officers vacation January through about October, and then we come out of the closet and we actually start working on our Christmas efforts. That is not the case. We are very busy people, and we love the work that we do. Ashley was with us a couple weeks ago. I don't remember what we were doing, but we were out in Triadelphia, my wife and Ashley and myself, and we decided to stop at Starbucks. And I had my white shirt on with my red epaulets, just like Jen's got on. And the poor lady inside the Starbucks opens the window and she goes, "Oh, are you airline pilots?" Yep, we are. And so we got the little S's, and I said, we're pilots for Spirit Airlines. Just threw it out there, you know. And she goes, "Oh, where are you going?" Well, now I've caught my lie, you know. And I told her, "Oh, we're headed to Tallahassee. We're gonna be there at 6 tonight." And, you know, and she was just enthralled by this. So off we go. Sure enough, about 3 days ago, I go through Starbucks and the same lady opened the window and goes, "Where are you headed to now?" So at some point I have to admit to her that I'm a liar and you know, I'm just trying to pull her along. But you know, we really do enjoy the work we do. Many of you will know about 2.5 years ago when my wife and I landed in town, I became popular because of a decision with my shelter. Anybody remember those stories in the newspaper and news? Yeah. So we had a shelter that's on our administrative building, and the design of the shelter really is, it's one single hallway with just a couple rooms on the side. And we had men, women, and children in our shelter at that time. And unfortunately, the shelter had been running that way since the early 70s. And when I came in and saw this, I just knew this is not the way that it should be. We had some possible issues that we might have to deal with. And so we ended up closing our shelter for a weekend, cleaned it out, redesigned. Up until that point, homeless folks would come into our shelter typically about 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, and then they're out the door at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I had individuals staying in our shelter upwards of a year, living in our shelter for a year. And so we had to put a stop to this and really get our hands wrapped around this ministry that we provide to the Ohio Valley. Now, mind you, we do get individuals from New Martinsville, Moundsville, all the way up to our office in Wheeling. So we rebooted the program. We started doing case conferencing, case management. I hired in a new shelter manager and a new caseworker. And in the last 2 years, we have seen 75 men obtain jobs, apartments, and reconnect with their families and get off the streets. That's success. What do we call that? I mean, we really stopped with the revolving door and started seeing individuals become productive members of our community. So that shelter program continues to run, and we fight every day trying to stay on track. This is a good thing that we're doing. Others want us to do this or do that with our shelter, but we really stayed focused because ultimately we want to see men get off the streets and become productive in our community again. I'm going to share some stats with you. And these are kind of averages over the last 2 years. But Southeast Army, we have 6 properties total in this area under my command. We have a building on 16th Street and then another large building on Oak Street next to the Wheeling Middle School. And then, of course, you know our building here. Annually, we serve upwards of about 200 youth per month in our programs. These are character building programs, getting kids ready to go off to our camps. We serve them meals once a week. And in 2019, we saw about 36 kids total attend 288 nights of camping that the Salvation Army provided to them. These are kids getting out of our community, going to nature, enjoying crafts and hikes and swimming in a lake and all that. We run senior programs. Typically about 2,000 seniors come into our programs annually. They have lunch together weekly. And then we were just talking about nursing homes here for the Rotary Club. We serve about 3,600 nursing home clients in our area on average. When we came down to Moundsville today, we brought 2 vehicles because of some supplies that we needed to bring down. We brought down right at 300 gifts for prisoners here in the area. Those will be distributed to the prisons for Christmas time. So last year in our area, and this includes Marshall County and Ohio County, the Salvation Army distributed 3,800 gifts to kids, to about 493 individuals total, children rather. And then in total, there were just over 2,000 individuals that the Salvation Army assisted at Christmas time last year. It's very important for the services that the Salvation Army does. And one of the things that you are seeing on WTOV right now is our Coats for Kids program. We have already given out just over 300 coats to kids in our community. So, you know, the Salvation Army tends to be one of those agencies, we kind of lean back a little bit, January through September or so, and then we become much more visible during the balance of the year. But I want you to know that the Salvation Army, even here in Marshall County, many of you are aware that we no longer have a full-time employee down here. And I'll explain that just in a second, but we do keep a part-time employee down here to continue to provide services even in the Marshall County area. I think Nancy Yoho was a member of this group, and she retired from my office. And when we looked at her retirement and we're trying to make a decision on what we were going to do in Marshall County, we just did not have the stats to back up keeping a full-time employee based here. We want to be able to do those services. There's no reason why we can't do those services, but the historic data did not allow for that. And so right now we continue to provide a caseworker weekly who comes down here from my main office. And when need be, we can up that for a couple days a week. We did all of our Christmas signups down here. We're going to do a Christmas distribution down here. We still provide electric and utility assistance to individuals. They call my office. We meet them down here for their appointments. And so we are still continuing to serve in the Marshall County area. And we're kind of in this time of how do we become strategic about the dollars raised and the services that are needed in the community. And then what do we put in the community for those services? So we're very proud of the work of the Salvation Army. We love seeing lives changed, individuals impacted. And I just, you know, hopefully want you to see the Salvation Army is still a viable organization throughout these communities. So I'm not going to preach to you for the entire 45 minutes today, but I do want to give you an opportunity to ask me questions and be happy to entertain those. Yes, sir. What services have we seen increase? There's always the need for electrical and water utilities primarily. Last year during COVID, we typically did about 200 cases per month. In April and May of last year, when COVID really hit its peak and people were having to stay at home, our services went up to 2,000 individuals per month. And the Salvation Army out of my DC office purchased $1 million in airline foods. So they're ready made and they were frozen. And then they dispersed those to Salvation Army units throughout West Virginia and Maryland. So we had $1 million worth of food in our pantries, and we have gone through all that food. So now the $1 million didn't land here, but it was throughout the entire area. So, you know, our pantries are still very active as well. And I would also say rental assistance is a big thing for individuals. And I think a lot of that is because people put off paying their rent during the moratoriums, and now they have all this rent past due. And we've had individuals come to us asking us to pay $1,600, $1,800. And we're just not able to do that. We challenge them to go look for other agencies that can help them pay on those.
Do you have a budget? Based on
We go kind of quarterly on our case budget. We have United Way monies, we have EFSP monies, and then the Salvation Army puts in the monies that are raised, we put in a portion of that for direct services. So, yeah, we're constantly analyzing where can we put monies at, that are best used.
Need those services
Mm.
often, for rental assistance and electricity, things like that, what are the requirements for someone?
Yeah, so we try to keep them in their counties. So if they're a Marshall County resident, we may have them come up to our office, but we work with monies that are available in those communities. Always ID of some sort, even if it's just the utility bills that they have in their homes. And I want to speak to that in just a second. And obviously the bill itself. We won't pay, if Susie's the one who comes to our office for rental assistance, we don't pay Susie. We have to know who the landlord is. And so we pay direct to them. I mentioned IDs. It astounds me how many people don't have IDs or lose their IDs, especially the men in our shelters. And so one of the things that we've really been working on along with YWCA and YSS is just trying to offer some service so that individuals can get their ID. Basic ID, state ID, birth certificate, social security card. Unfortunately, you will have an individual who might go out on a drinking binge and they get jumped and somebody steals their bag and there goes all their ID. And they end up at our place and they tell you their name is Steve Jones. Well, we have no proof. And so we work with them to allow them to get those IDs back in place. And one of the major hurdles, I think, for the longest time with our shelter program was that we didn't put a stopgap in place where we basically started saying to individuals, we're going to give you, our shelter is automatically a 21-day emergency shelter. You can come in, stay 21 days. But in the midst of that, we ask them, are you ready to get off the streets? And if they are, they work with our caseworker to begin going to get their ID, starting to work with the homeless coalition, doing all the steps they need to do, and we hold them accountable. And that's why we've seen 75 people come off the streets in the last 2 years. And if they don't do the program, then you remain as a 21-day emergency service. Yes, ma'am.
There are several groups in Wheeling area that help homeless people. Do you all work together? Like how do you, I mean, there are just so many people and there's such a need.
Yep.
But how, I mean, they're out there, they're homeless. So how do you communicate with them or how do they know where to go? Or do you all work with each other?
Sure. So kind of so there's two ways to look at homelessness. You have individuals who want to be homeless. This is just the lifestyle I want to live. You have other people who fall into homelessness and they don't know how to get out. And we really try to target the ones that want to get out of homelessness. And there are agencies that put their money strictly into providing housing for homeless. We could do that. But you're not going to resolve the issue of homelessness if you don't start giving people the opportunity to get out of homelessness. So, and let me say this, and I know this is a bold statement, but primarily the issue is not homelessness. The issue is drugs and alcohol. And if you can meet people at their desperate need and start addressing that, and start dealing with the symptoms that, or the results that come about as from the drugs and the alcohol. The Salvation Army, I don't know if you're aware, but in Columbus, Ohio, Pittsburgh, Altoona, in the DC, Baltimore area, we run these large adult rehab centers. And some of these centers have upwards of 300 beds. And individuals can go, stay, detox, go through a recovery program. And if they are working the program, they can stay in the program upwards of a year. And the Salvation Army will support them. They work through their program, come back out better individuals in the community. So we've probably sent about a half dozen people just in the last 2 years to those drug and alcohol rehab programs. What else? Well, I was trying to pull up how much the Rotary Club here, and by the way, I'm a Rotarian in Wheeling, so I get my, my extra point here. But I was trying to pull up how much the Rotary Club raised in the past years, and we got down here, I couldn't get online. I know it's significant, and I truly appreciate everything that you folks do as community leaders and your support of the Salvation Army. Your time is valuable, I get it, my time is valuable. But for you to give an hour to ring a bell, it doesn't send me on my Bermuda vacation. It helps people stay at homes and have utilities. My wife, just last weekend, we were doing our Red Kettle kickoff at Cabela's, and Bob and Jody Contragera have joined us as our Christmas chair family. And Jen shared a story about a young lady named Amy who just hated Christmas as a kid. Her mom was a drug addict. If she got any Christmas gifts at all, it usually was thrown in a black garbage bag. And her mom went into treatment. The kids went to grandma's house, and grandma put them on the Salvation Army's annual tree program. And someone grabbed Amy's tag when she was a kid and bought her the 3 gifts that she wanted. And it impacted her and changed her because all of a sudden she realized people didn't care. Her mom didn't show it. Her mom couldn't show it because of the desperateness that she was dealing with. But it demonstrated to her that other people do care. That's you guys. That's me. And they bought her gifts for the rest of her adolescent years. And it changed her as an adult to realize I can be loving and caring as well. Folks, we live in a cruel world. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, there are good people in it, but we really deal with just a lot of cruelty as well. And so for us to step into other people's lives and say there's hope. Salvation Army's theme for Christmas this year is help, hope, march on. And so that's all we're doing. We're just providing opportunity for other people. Thank you so much. I really appreciate your guys' time and your service to your community. Bless you guys. I get the room.
If you want to.
Thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank you.
speaking with us.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you to you, Captain Jennifer and Ashley, for all your service and what you're going to do.
Couldn't be a better world without.
Thank you.
People like you, so thank you so much.
Is there anything else that the club wants to discuss?
All right. Well, I won't see you back here next week, but December 1st. On the spot. Have a great day.
Turn my phone on my watch, right?
We're a fun group.
I should have just went her. I could have found her.
Actually,
Everybody look at Ashley. Pleasure coming.
All right. Put your badge up there.
oh, yeah. Right.
So find you a dollar if you don't have the watch.
How are ya?
Let me see what I got.
Thanks.
Well, it was nice to see you again. I'll do the first, and then, when you talk to NHS, just let me know how the feeling of when you're going to get her.
I had to get that out of my hair on camera.
Good.
I'll take 2.
Thank you both so much for joining us. We so look forward, absolutely, we look forward to having you come back. Have a great day.
Thanks for coming.
Okay, it does not matter where you put it, it's just, you have to remember where to find it, or you stand here like me for 5 minutes just staring at everything.
I know it's kind of subtle, like, I don't know why I remember that.
It's 360.
Yeah,
I'm trying to help her.
Oh,
Thank you.
Yeah.
260. 304. 780.
See you, Sharon.
There's a plan right there.
Thank you.
I didn't even find it.
You too, thanks.
One way across the
road over
there.
Prior, right, you basically sell off everything. You just go sell off. So, you know, someone that I don't know, which I don't know, have the office and like what you're doing, you know, okay, like what you're doing, start a capital campaign for the new building. And so we just-
Got my money?
So. But have no money was.
Yeah.
In this division.
Is your wife coming to our Christmas party?
Yes.
She's always a great time.
So, our range, our name was 5 years ago, lieutenant, we were 15 years captain, and then you promoted to major. And then anything after
I'll
major.
fly you anytime.
Yes, I'm just glad that somebody was here.
We have a bank
And then I have lieutenant colonels, colonels. How much, they're just, they put in our central office.
Community bank, we're still there?
Probably about 3 years, and you retire out. So then we retire probably those 3 years. And then all the commissioners meet. We say, okay.
Thank you very much for explaining that to me. I was just asking. You know.
Yeah. It's an interesting process and.
I
it's-
didn't realize how much is involved in it.
Yeah, it's
Thank you.
quite a bit of work.
See ya.
Yeah, thank you so much. All right, thank you, Ashley.